立て直しまーす。あちくしょー、諦めるかーってやるよー。あの野郎ー。
In Black Clover, Asta is one of the strongest characters because of his immense physical power and his ability to wield anti-magic swords. But one of the greatest questions fans have is how strong he would be if he actually had mana and magic instead of anti-magic. While it might be hard for us to gauge an exact measurement, Vanessa sets it up quite easily before us during their team up against Veto in the underwater temple. I bet the God of Fate gave you no magic because of precisely who he is. Essentially what Vanessa is saying here is that Asta would be absolutely overpowered if he had magic because of how much of a hard worker he is. In this video, my goal is to set out how strong Asta would be in Black Clover if he had magic, and compare that to his anti-magic powered self, as well as other characters in the series. I do want to let you guys know that this will still be quite hard because some characters likely have superhuman strength in base form, and people also have varying degrees of mana amount and mana control. But I want to thank you guys so much for the recent support. We're getting closer and closer to 50,000 subscribers. We're almost to 45,000 already. You guys have been really heavily supporting me, and I appreciate that. Also, the like goals have been killing it as well. We're going to do another 1,500 like goal. And guys, don't forget, I have a Discord called Cloverheim. It's a Black Clover based Discord, but we talk about other things besides Black Clover. You can go in there. The more you are active, you actually gain experience points, and you can level up, and you can even get to the rank of Wizard King. I want to give a shout out to my other YouTube channel, Broku72. I will link a what if I did last week, because I'm going to be doing some more Dragon Ball videos in the near future. And also want to just announce and hype up my book that's coming out, Serpent Slayer Saga's Sigurth Rising. This should be out within, I'd say, probably 4 to 8 weeks. Just almost done with the editing phase now. And then just to let you guys know, I will have a free audiobook of it on this channel, so don't worry, it will be free on this channel if you do want to listen to it, but it'll probably be pretty cheap to get physical or digital copies of it. And with that being said, guys, let's get into this video. One of the important things we must go over is physical strength in Black Clover, and how humans in Black Clover have the potential to go far beyond the limits of humans in our world. I mean, Asta at the beginning of the series can do 1,000 one-hand handstand push-ups. Meanwhile, in our world, you'd be lucky to find a single guy in your city that can do a handstand push-up, let alone a one-hand handstand push-up. Yet a pretty weak Asta does it at the beginning of the series, and does it for 1,000 reps, and he gets much more beefier later on in the series. Especially now after the 6-month time skip training arc. Examples of superhuman physical strength and speed stats in Black Clover are, well, anything Asta does, especially his speed. When he outruns Mirieliena's Monozone attacks, who is many times faster than the speed of light. Remember, Raya is stronger and faster than Patri, who is faster than light, and his light attacks were nothing compared to her, and then Asta outruns her attacks. And he also punched reinforced mages like Voltos and Raya. Remember, Raya scales above the beginning of series Jack, or even before the series actually, who Jack the Ripper destroyed a mountain when he fought Asta, and yet Asta just straight up decks Raya with a physical punch. This wasn't an anti-magic reinforced attack either, it was just his physical punch. Now the fact that people who are not strong physically but have magic that amp them to levels near that of Asta shows that magic is a massive increase in stats. Remember, magic and mana isn't just spells casted. Mages use things like reinforcement magic and mana skin to massively amplify their physical stats. It seems like Yuno is roughly the range for a strong human in our world's physical strength capabilities. He has a 3 to 5 in the guidebook, which would mean he is in the average range for the series. It makes sense since he is above certain characters who are never going to train and strain their muscles in their life. And if Yuno is able to keep up with Asta in pretty much every category when he uses mana, attack potency, durability, and speed, this means that mana increases his physical stats many fold. For example, even if we assume that Yuno without any magic could run as fast as Usain Bolt, then he'd be able to run at an impressive 27 miles per hour. But we know he can move at faster than light speed with mana. This is because he was able to fight characters at scale 2 and above Patri, even Dark Elf Patri. Patri is faster than light in the cave, as his light magic was stated to be light speed, and he got even faster. And he got at least 3 massive amps in power by the time he was a Dark Elf and, fought him. Even if we just assumed he was only light speed, which would be whack because a much weaker Yuno casually dodged a storm of light attacks from Elf Raya and Elf Patri at the same time. But That would mean that mana made him nearly 25 million times faster than what his own physical body could do. This is an absolutely insane amplification. Remember, this is still dramatically lowballed. Now, we got 25 million times amp as a lowball, but Asta is a commoner. We have no idea what his mana amount would be. Probably average, but probably less than Yuno. And to be fair, Yuno was using multiple techniques to be able to dodge the light attacks. According to the guidebook, Mana Zone is a many times multiplier on top of base form. In the light novel, they say that Bell increases Yuno's power many times as well. And then Spirit Dive is also a many times multiplier on top of that. And then the Elven form, which is at least a 2 times multiplier over his normal form, based on the fact that only a partial Elven Longris was able to negate and react to attacks that were doubled in power and speed at him by Azora. It's hard to determine many times, but it is generally assuming that it is more than a couple, which is 2, or a few, which is 3, or more. So a 4 times multiplier is a good lowball to assume for the several different many times multipliers. We have 3 of those, and then we have the 2 times multiplier for the Elven form. So we get 4 times 4 times 4 times 2, which equals 128. But also, Yuno has a high amount of mana. He's a royal. Let's just assume that Asta has, I guess, average or slightly above average mana amounts, and let's say he has 1/10 the mana of Yuno. So we take 25 million, divide that by 1,280, and you would still get over 19,000 times of amplification that mana can do. Remember, this is still drastically lowballed, which means that mana would likely increase Asta's physical stats by over 19,000 times. Which means, Asta, just think, how strong he was at the beginning of the series. Sure, he doesn't have his anti-magic anymore, which is a trump card, but now he is over 19,000 times stronger and faster. He also would have the multi-purpose effects of mana. He could now sense people from the beginning of the series. He could use the spells for many different practical capabilities. Just think of any of the early scenarios, and imagine Asta being nearly 20,000 times stronger and faster. Redchi, how would Asta do against him? Destroy him. Heath would be a nobody to him. Mars would have gotten destroyed. Asta would have single-handedly fought off the invasion of the royal capital. Patri would have been nothing to him. He puts Veto into despair, and much, much more. Now, Ladros possibly is able to defeat Asta, though this might not be the case as we don't know the extent of the limit to his mana absorption ability. Now I get it, it sounds crazy, but Vanessa warned all of us about this pretty much. She heavily implied that if Asta were to have had magic, he would be incredibly broken because of how much of a hard worker he is. The Gods of Fate literally made it so that Asta wouldn't have mana or magic because he would probably threaten the very hierarchy of the universe. Again, just imagine any fight with Asta. He is so unbelievably broken with mana, he essentially defeats everyone. The only issue here is that he wouldn't be able to defeat Zagred, as you need to be arcane to kill devils. The only issue here, though, is that if Asta were this strong, he just no-diffs Patri back in the cave, and then he no-diffs all of the Third Eye at once. Then they all get kidnapped, and he foils Zagred's plans anyways. There might even be ways around this. Maybe he loses to Zagred because he is an arcane, but then heads off to the Spade Kingdom, whoops some devil ass, comes back with a squad of devils bound to him, gaining arcane magic, and then now defeats Zagred and possibly the devils that reign over the Dark Triad. I've made a video in the past of why anti-magic isn't overpowered, because it isn't by any cogent definition. You can't say it's really overpowered. There is so much balance to it. Balance to Asta's anti-magic swords. One, you have to be born without mana, and be strong enough to even wield the swords, and some will even weigh you down, as the Slayer sword weighed Asta down against Mars, and he had to get the lighter Dweller sword to be fast enough against him. You need to use Ki to use the black form, and while he can destroy almost any attack, but if it's too big or fast, then anti-magic is pointless. Also, anti-magic doesn't amplify your physical characteristics like mana does until you get to the black forms, which again, you need to use Ki to properly access. Also, mana users get mana from a young age and will be able to practice for years before getting the Grimoire. Meanwhile, Asta got his Grimoire and anti-magic powers at 15, putting him at a disadvantage. This shows that if Asta had mana, he'd be absolutely overpowered based on his work ethic. Now I get it. It might be saying that if Asta has mana, then he doesn't physically train in the beginning, but I don't buy it. Yame physically trained despite having a 5 out of 5 in mana amount. Same for Miraliona, she also has a 5 out of 5 in physical strength. Same for Veto, he has elven mana, but he has insane levels of physical strength. Being a hard worker is ingrained within Asta, and if he didn't have high magic power, like the video assumes, then he would likely pair physical strength training along with training to adapt his magic further. Even if Asta had only average mana, he would push what he had and was born with beyond his limits, and I would see him learning techniques like Mana Skin and Mana Zone early on. I think he would absolutely destroy the Magic Knight's entrance exam, and Like with Yuno, he would have every Magic Knight wanting him in their squad. Also, think about it, Yuno would be much stronger in this scenario as well, because he would actually have a powerful, magically gifted kid as his rival from the jump. This is actually sounding like a potentially interesting what-if fanfiction theory. Maybe I'll have to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if Asta had a brawler fighting style in this, thanks to his physical strength, and fought like Leona. Maybe he also would maybe take weapons and imbue them with magic, kind of like Yami. But, especially for the Mana Zone fighter, I could see him kind of like Leona. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. The thing is that Asta would be absolutely broken if he had Mana in the series. More broken than if he had anti-magic. The only difference is that the anti-magic has that trump card effect. But still, there is but if you just look at it, Mana is more overpowered than anti-magic. There are way more checks and balances to anti-magic than there is for Mana. So, again, just look at the quote Vanessa says. It's all implying that if Asta had magic, he would be just unstoppable. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Please leave a like and hit that like goal of 1,500 likes. That'd be so much appreciated, guys. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Soon I will have my book available for pre-order on Amazon probably. And then right now I'm currently working on getting the audiobook ready. But that being said, hope you guys all have an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe. Get that 50,000 subscribers. Plus